Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. The longer that Aaron Rodgers makes the Pittsburgh Steelers wait, the more they have to be at least considering other options. The top of that list appears to be Atlanta Falcons QB Kirk Cousins, who is reportedly on the Steelers' radar. ESPN analyst Kimberly A. Martin hates that idea for the Steelers. Speaking of having no hope. So with the Steelers, I would be shocked if they went after Kirk Cousins, and here's why. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make financial sense, Martin said Wednesday via ESPN's Get Up. They have put all their eggs as far as we're gonna wait for Aaron Rodgers, we're gonna slow play it, and see if he comes along. In terms of the financials, it may not be the best use of resources overall, with Cousins carrying a maximum $27.5 million cap charge in 2025. He also has 2 additional years on his contract with $10 million guaranteed in 2026. It would make more sense if the Falcons eat some of that 2025 salary to lower the Steelers' cap charge to $20 million or so. Though they technically could make it work either way. To me, the bigger issue would be trade compensation. The Steelers have been intentional about stockpiling draft picks for 2026 with the assumed goal of them drafting a quarterback in the first round and having flexibility to trade up if needed. If the Falcons do eat some of Cousins' salary, they might be looking for a slightly higher draft pick. It's also tough to see Cousins working stylistically in the AFC North. Kirk Cousins has a no-trade clause, so unless Kirk Cousins says, you know what? Send me to the AFC North where I can get my head bashed in all the time against the Ravens and the Browns and all these teams. I just don't see it making sense, Martin said. The AFC North is one of the most physical divisions in football. Some of the top sack artists and defensive fronts in the league play in the division. Cousins would have to deal with Myles Garrett, Kyle Van Noy, Odafe maybe, Trey Hendrickson, and a few newcomers in Shamar Stewart, Mason Graham, and Mike Green. Cousins was more or less a statue in the pocket last year in Atlanta. Unless the Steelers want to move back to an offense like in Ben Roethlisberger's final years where almost every pass was at or behind the line of scrimmage, it doesn't fit the overall vision for the team. I agree with Martin that the idea of Cousins makes no sense and would reek of desperation. If Rodgers declines to sign, I would much prefer they proceed with Mason Rudolph and save their draft picks and cap space. Pittsburgh wouldn't need to give up much to land Cousins, who has been angling for a trade out of Atlanta all offseason. Signed to a 4-year, $160 million contract one offseason ago, he was benched midway through the season for first-round rookie Michael Penix Jr. To date, the Falcons have shown a willingness to hold on to Cousins despite his protests, the 13th-year veteran even pleading with owner Arthur Blank to trade him, according to the ESPN article. The complicating factor is Cousins' large contract. The cash considerations Salek mentions, usually a baseball term, as in the Pirates have traded their best asset for cash considerations, refers to the Falcons eating a portion of Cousins' salary. I'd imagine the Falcons are still willing to swallow $20 million, maybe even more, of his salary to get this deal done, Salek wrote. Hammering out that side of the trade, how much money Atlanta stays on the hook for, will be the biggest obstacle in getting any deal done for Cousins. The 6th-round pick is inoffensive, especially for a Pittsburgh team that could have upwards of 12 selections heading into next year's draft. And dealing a 6th, even if it becomes a 5th, won't hurt the Steelers' capital should they try and trade up for a quarterback in 2026. The question is simply if the Steelers would prefer to have Kirk Cousins as their starter or stick with Mason Rudolph. The PPG's Jerry Dulac suggested the Steelers' plan B is sticking with Rudolph, seemingly taking a Cousins trade out of the equation. But national outlets like ESPN have kept the possibility of a Cousins deal firmly on the radar, perhaps in part because there's seemingly no other place he could be traded to barring an injury occurring to another team. Still, ESPN's article also outlines trade scenarios with the Cleveland Browns and Minnesota Vikings, the latter serving as a return to the team Cousins played for before signing with Atlanta. One of the storylines of the NFL offseason has been the free agency decision coming from future NFL Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. With multiple teams interested in the veteran, the Pittsburgh Steelers have emerged as the clear favorites. But Rodgers hasn't made his decision yet, which has drawn reactions from former NFL quarterbacks throughout history. Former Miami Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino went on 93.7 The Fan on Joe Starkey Tuesday morning to share his reaction to the Rodgers free agency saga. Marino first shared his strong belief in Rodgers as a quarterback, giving him high praise, even though Rodgers is nearing the end of his career. "I still think Aaron has some game," Marino said. "He does. He can throw it as good as anybody who has ever thrown the football. If his mind's into it and he's ready to go, and that works." The Pittsburgh Steelers remain in the market for an additional pass catcher for their offense. After trading George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh needs a reliable number 2 option opposite DK Metcalf. And while many assume a receiver will be coming, whether it be a free agent or trade acquisition, it's a tight end the Steelers were reportedly trying to acquire late last week. Per Adam Schefter, the Steelers were in trade talks with the Miami Dolphins about trading for Pro Bowl tight end Jonnu Smith. However, nothing came of those talks in the ensuing days, and now Schefter says the Steelers are unlikely to acquire Smith. While reporting that the Steelers will be hosting free agent wide receiver Gabe Davis for a visit on Wednesday, Schefter said the Steelers will likely not be trading for Smith. Pittsburgh has been seeking additional receiving help and has inquired about, but is not expected to trade for, Miami Jonnu Smith. Schefter said on X, "Smith had a career-high 88 catches last season. Like many acquisitions a season ago, he played for Arthur Smith in Atlanta." However, the Steelers seem to have their eyes set on Davis, who has proven to be a reliable number 2 receiver during his time in Buffalo.